Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Nightborne in the Numenera system. Before we go around and say hello to all of these now familiar but very lovely faces, let's go through some of our usual opening announcements. First of all, we are still holding the GoFundMe for some new aircon. Now, the GoFundMe reads at 40 out of 1,000, but I can tell you we had a secret anonymous donation of £500, so we actually only have a target of £500 now. It's very confusing, but I'm not going to upload £500 to the GoFundMe because then taxes and it costs. So we're only looking for another £100 now on the GoFundMe. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. It's amazing. Anonymous donator, only you know who you are. Thank you so much. Also, we have links. The bot is now spamming them at you. The Season 2 poster sale is now complete. On Friday, when I take my day to do admin, I will update that with the Season 3 posters, so you can get the current posters, including the one in the background. Yeah, we have other things there as well. We have Bird in the Storm Publishing and Mage Hand Press, who are our sponsors, whom we are very grateful to, because they make this all possible. And lots of other things there as well. Please take time to check out the links. They really do support us. Let's go around and say hello to everyone, starting off first with the mastermind, Jeff! Oh, hi!
I'm the mastermind? I'm Mr. Manager? Hi, my name is Jeff Ellis, or you can find me on Twitter at Mini-Eyed Monster, where I write RPGs and RPG supplements. I'm very excited to get into today's game. We left on a bit of a cliffhanger, which, spoilers, will probably be a common occurrence. But let's get into it. Let's start with Angela.
Hello everybody, I'm Angela, or on Twitter you can find me at Phoenix24Fem. I write poetry, I play in a lot of different tabletop role-playing games, including this, and a lot of running games on Welcome to the Parties, 3B, all POC, sub-channel sort of shows, so you can find me on there, and I just write a lot of stuff, and you can find me on Patreon and a bunch of other places, so hello!
Awesome, thank you. Alice, take it away.
Oh, hi, I'm Alice. I'm also White Rabbit Pick on Twitter. I do photography stuff, and I'm also a DM. Well, when I'm not playing here, as I play Jarren, I am a DM for Doors of Genera, Call of Cthulhu, and Return to Eden. I'm so excited to be back for this game today.
Yay! Next is Avery, and we're going to be really quiet because Avery's.
Oh, thank you. No, it's okay. I'll survive. Hi, I'm Avery. I'm cold right now, and I have a headache. It's a great morning for me. I think I'm only here on this channel, but soon, I think sometime at the beginning of May, I'll be over on Tales of the Grim playing a game of Urban Shadows over there, which is going to be good fun because I've done the portrait art for them. That's going to be good. I do art. That's the thing I do. Keep an eye out. It pops out. It pops up on streams every now and then, just every so often. Yeah. I think that's all I'm doing at the moment. I play Dell, a good robot boy. We all love him.
Boy, who we all love.
Alright,
Excellent. V, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm V. I'm the Crafting Muse. I have a YouTube channel where I show you how to make terrain, paint miniatures, and game accessories as well. Find me over on Twitter as well as Facebook and Instagram. And you'll also find me here on Scrat's channel playing a lot, as well as over on Mini Terrain Domain on Thursday nights. But I can't wait for today. This is going to be so much fun.
Excellent, thank you. And Scrat, wrap it up.
I'm playing Sparx. If you want to know what sort of person Sparx is, last week he lied to someone who had a glider to get hold of some giant wing-type cloth thing, and then instead of following them down to the surface of the planet like they told them he would, he climbed the tallest building in what's her name's perch? Davia's Perch, that's it. And I keep thinking Garen's Perch. I don't know why. I don't even know who Garen is. It's like Jarren, but wrong.
Who's Garen?
I don't know. That is the real question. That's what Sparx wants to know. Who's Garen? So he's got his own little quest, which has nothing to do with the main plot. He's climbing a building, and this is his idea of fun, is finding tall things to throw himself off of with you know, maybe a safety net, because he doesn't really know how to use his glider. It's going to be great.
I'm so glad you're aware of that last little bit. That's very good.
Can I get it more?
Adds to the fun, Jeff. Adds to the fun.
Excellent. So we are ready to start. You are watching episode 3 of Nightborne, Flight of the Midnight Pilgrims. Above the night, below the world, tunnel slow or become the sea. Planted right, a mind unfurled. Funnels souls, the profane reed. Canter, slight, bend and curl, ride the whorls, avoid the bleed. And that was Becoming Hearts by Zetamaya. Deep in the Moraviri home, we see a man dressed in black leather and wearing bright green goggles pulled down over his eyes, walking through a marketplace. Behind him trails a long cloak of vibrant rainbow colors, melting together. As he walks, the buzz of the home accepts him as one of their own, moving effortlessly around him. Sparx, as you walk through the Moraviri home on your way out of this place back up into Davia's Perch, you are trailing this long tail of this glide just behind you, just and not too many people stop to really question it. They're kind of just going about their way. But as you're walking, you suddenly kind of like slow down, like something's dragging you. You look back, and sitting on your cloak, like it's just pulling them, are just 2 small Moraviri children. And when you look back, they look at you and they go, "Hi."
Shoo!
"No.
Go away!
Take us for a ride."
What's
And one
that
of them-
building? He says, pointing at the biggest building he can see.
So you're still within the confines of the Moraviri home. Before you can see any large buildings, you would have to get to where the actual exit is. But if you ask them about where to find large structures and such, they say, "Are you going to the Perch?"
I thought this was all the Perch.
One of them leans in and says, "We could get him to go to the Perch, and then we could go outside, and we could see it all." And everyone goes, "Shh. No. This is Moraviri, but outside is the Perch. The big white city. Did you see it?"
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of tall stuff out there. If you wanted to find something big to jump off of with your glide, that would be the place to go. And the one closest to you grabs kind of the sides of your glide and sort of just like whips it like reins. "Come on, yeah!"
Do you have any air defenses around here?
What?
Like anti-aircraft guns, cannons?
We have... I mean, you're not supposed to go like too far into the sunlight, so maybe that is like it. Is that what you're looking for? What's a gun?
Oh my. Alright, a tool thing will do. I'm sure I can fashion something myself.
So, are you going to take us to the Perch?
Oh yeah, go on then, but you gotta lead me. Show me where the Perch is. Go on.
Yeah!
Wait a minute. Am I supposed to check with someone that you're supposed to be allowed to come out?
No?
What would your parents say about that?
We don't have parents.
I think you're lying.
Roll a level 1 intellect task. Yeah, they're 1,000% lying. And the kind of older one closest to you was like, my parents
Looks like we got a new friend.
are in the perch, so we were gonna go see them.
So they wouldn't be within range of hearing then?
No.
So if I grab your ear and twist like this so you scream...
Does he do it?
Yeah, of course he does.
Okay.
As Sparx is just looking around for a parent.
And you see an older, more Raviri man turn, and he's like, what are you doing?
You must be the father!
I mean, yes. Are they bothering you? Why are you on this men's glide?
They want to go to the perch!
And you see him grab like their like collars, and he kind of pulls them off your guy and says, "This again, with the perch. I'm sorry. I will lead them back, and we will talk to the polyheart about this. Thank you very much for your understanding." And he looks at you for a second, like realizing that he's never seen you before or anyone like you, and he just kind of turns and walks away.
Right, hang on, I can do something with this. And I'm going to take the glide and I'm going to start twirling to like wrap it around me, kind of like a cross-wrap maxi dress type thing. Like, just tuck it in.
Yeah, you got a little bundle.
Bow on the front as well.
As you're tying this, one of the boys is arguing with the other one, and they sort of fall into bickering. And Sparx, you hear a voice in your head that you have not heard in your head or aloud in a very long time. The voice of Corvir Lightningborn, your oldest brother. He's calling for you from the lower floor of the manse. Brejik, a pause. I swear, Brejik, if you're stuck inside of something again, I am going to leave you to rot. And you're a young boy again, inside of the lightning-born manse in which you were raised.
Right, Sparx projects mentally. I'm afraid Sparx is away from his brain at the moment. If you'd like to leave a message, please write it down on a bit of paper and put it in his room.
There's the sound sort of echoes out and then comes back and disperses. It's a little off, but within this projection, where is Sparx? This is definitely a memory. This is something that you used to do all the time, sneaking off, getting into trouble. Where in the manse are you, and what are you up to?
Sparx is almost certainly trying to head back to the storm area. He was addicted to the storm area as a kid. Depending on how young we are, he might not be totally covered in lightning scars yet. He might have some regular looking skin, but he's intent on changing that.
Yeah, you're about 6 years old. You know your brother is about 3 years older than you. And in order to get out of this manse and out to where the storms of your home are, you would need to essentially sneak out. Usually your most common route is through the upstairs window. And you can hear your brother coming upstairs. Brejik.
With a zap, I'm gonna fuse the door closed.
He, you kind of like essentially like just melt this door mechanism together, and then you almost seconds later, you just hear.
Oh no, I haven't got much time. I'm gonna like lean against the wall, and even this young, I think I would have had the push ability. So I'm gonna sort of like do a junk rat where I make push explode at my feet and just burst through the window.
You hit this push ability. Roll a level 3 might task for me.
Oh boy, might, my speciality.
You slam through this window with much more force than you intended, breaking all the glass, getting cuts all over you. You kind of start to fall. You take 3 points of damage. And as you are in the air, you are 2 stories up. What are you going to do to remedy that, or are you just going to hit the ground and roll?
Plummet to the ground and hit the ground pretty hard, I imagine. He'll try and roll, but Sparx has done this before. He knows he won't die.
Roll a level 3 speed task. You hit the ground with just a thud. And you're lying on the ground with the wind knocked out of you, looking up. And in the distance, you can hear the eternal storm that surrounds your home, that constant pounding. Lightning so common that the thunder of it is just constant music, constant bass. And as you hear this sound, your mother appears standing over you, and she looks down at you and she says,
Sparx runs!
You get up and you start to run. Roll a roll a level 4 speed task. This woman knows you very well. You go to get up, but you're just kind of like in the air as she just holds on to you, and she says, Regic, we do not have infinite windows.
Hello!
Yes, hello. Did you do your studies?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me one thing you learned today.
I learnt the projection angle necessary to create a projectile wavelength, and do you know 45 degrees is the maximum range you can reach in any one setting?
She smiles. You're very bright, and I love that very much. And she kind of kneels down and turns you around so that you're looking at her. You have some of these lightning scarred patterning on your skin. You so normally every morning they dress you up in your little noble boy outfit. I imagine that the things that Sparx gets into and his own rebelliousness have some kind of modification on that. That might look steppy.
He's cut his left trouser leg off and reattached it with safety pins and put a great big hole in the knee. The right trouser leg is sort of cut at an angle to make it look like it swoops, and it's all like frayed. And the jacket, and I imagine this was all fresh this morning, so he's got a lot of practice at this by now. The jacket, he's just covered in any pins or safety pins or anything that he could find in the sewing kit nearby. He's just covered his jacket in it so it looks just like not covered in studs but just covered in metal.
She looks you up and down. Did you find my sewing kit again?
Nope.
Where did you get all of these pins?
I bought them myself by completing some riddles for a merchant.
So good. She smiles. Oh, the riddle merchant again. He's around a lot.
Yep, he loves spending coin on good riddles.
That's good. She looks out across the storm. You know the grounds here, you have so there's the main building, the manse, and then there's expansive grounds like any sort of noble home. And that the storm sort of borders a wall further down, and beyond that are the Stormlands, where the Lightningborns know how to travel. It's part of, they harvest lightning, essentially. That's how they make their name. And from where you are, through the storms and everything, through the overcast, you can still see the long river that runs through this area. And that river was where your parents first found you as a baby. And your mother looks out across the grounds. Excuse me. Looks out across the grounds, and her eyes trace the river. And she pulls you into a tight hug.
No, look, I've really got to go. I'm studying fluid dynamics of water through pipes, and the river would be the best place to go and do that, because the math is really quite
she kind of she lets you go finally, but in a way that you essentially have already pushed so much that you kind of fall on your butt. And she looks at you. Your brother's going to be very upset.
Going to be implies he's not always upset.
Perhaps if someone went a little easier on him, he wouldn't always be upset.
Hang on a minute. I'm the younger brother. That means I'm supposed to make things difficult for him. That's practically like my job.
God, that's so accurate. That's how I lived my whole life. She smiles. I don't know how much more your tutor is going to be able to teach you. You're very bright. And so, Brejik, you can go and you can play, but you're going to take your brother with you. Brejik.
Okay.
Good. Go find him. Go. And she scoots, she pats your butt.
Hey man, am I the younger brother? He's the older brother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've got to look after him. He's supposed to be able to look after himself. And I'll go and find him and be like, "Oi, Snotface!"
You come in, and Corvier's kind of stomping down the stairs. I wish I had lightning powers. Man, I'm lightning born. Why don't I have lightning powers? I hate this. This sucks. What? What do you want?
I'm supposed to take you out with me.
You're supposed to. I don't want to go with you. You're supposed to be studying.
Well, take that up with Mum.
I will. No, Mom told me to tell you to go study.
I skipped it.
You can't always skip it.
You can if you know the answers.
Why are you... No, it's fine. Okay. Fine. If Mom said you don't have to do lessons, I don't care. They're not my lessons. You're not, my kid. So, fine.
Nope.
What are you going to do now? If you're not going to lessons.
I'm going down to the river.
What are you going to do at the river?
I'm going to play with the lightning. Why, are you scared?
Corvier looks a little shy. I want Can I see it?
Sure, you can see it.
Okay. Let's take the sled.
We'll take the sled, but also first we need to get you some protective equipment, otherwise you might get shocked by lightning. Here, take this large metal rod. It's a magical rod that stops you from getting struck by lightning.
And he takes it and he holds it and he's like, Do we just have these lying around?
Yes.
Oh. It's pretty cool. Okay. And so the two of you proceed to the sled, which is essentially just kind of like a sheet of metal that hovers a bit and can just kind of move through just like pushing. And you head down to the river. It's kind of always flowing. It's a fairly large river, and with the constant like rainfall and everything in the Stormlands, it's usually a very busy place. And as you approach the bank there, the lightning is sort of all around you, and the storm is pounding. But the two of you have lived your whole lives. You know this place, at least to the extent that you are not perturbed by it. And as children, you're not really afraid of it because it's always been there. And the two of you stand on the bank, and Corvair's just kind of like swishing this rod.
Corvair, come on, I know you've done basic electronics. What do you know about metal rods?
There.
Especially since that one's nickel.
It's metal. I don't know.
They conduct electricity! You're gonna get zapped, but you probably can't handle it.
I can handle it. You think I can't be zapped? You're zapping everything all the time.
I'm gonna zap him.
I could do it. Okay. That's fair. Just like a little like shock.
Yeah, just like a 4 points worth of damage. That shouldn't be too much to kill a kid.
you shock him and he's like, ah! And the rod flies out of his hand and he's like, ah. Hey! And he pushes you.
Let him push me. See? You're a dumbass!
I'm not a dumbass, you're a dumbass. And he grabs you.
A magic rod that lets me conduct, that won't let me get struck by lightning. You're a dumbass.
No, that's what you said. Okay, fine. If I'm a dumbass, you're a liar. So how about that? What do you like about it? It's not nice, is it? And he slaps your face.
I use the push ability and just send him flying backwards.
We watched these two young brothers kind of quarreling on the banks, slapping a bit, and then eventually one of them just poof and launches the other one a few feet, and he lands and rolls. And he gets up and he's like, and he looks out, and the scene shifts. And we see two grown men standing in a tunnel in the Moraviri home, facing each other. Jarren and Vorsh watching each other intently. How has this conflict progressed, Jarren?
I think Jarren has sort of realized his nose is bleeding from where the force of this man hit him and knocked him to the floor. And he hasn't bled in a very long time. And he just sort of wipes it away and just looks back at Vorsh, just a mildly crazed smile on his face. It's just, do you want to hit me again?
Oh, I am not going to stop hitting you.
Good. And Jarren just sort of braces himself again. And it's just, are you a man of war, fighting, or do you just like to sneak up on people?
I'm a hunter. Surprise is what we do when we want something dead.
So you're hunting me?
And he just smiles.
Jarren smiles back.
He is going to, we'll move into initiative, and he is going to, I'll let you roll, what roll a level 4 speed task to determine initiative.
Sorry, you say speed?
Yes, please.
4, okay. I am not fast.
Nice. So
Speed.
you have the first turn here, essentially, but if you want to essentially goad him into attacking you or just leave, room for him to kind of go first, you can take a defensive action if you'd like.
Yeah, he sort of takes a defensive action. He wants to see what this man does.
Okay. So he brings his shield up again, and he says, "You're very fast, traveler. Let's see if you're fast enough." And he sort of makes these 2 steps towards you, and then hits his shield and just warps like right at you with this sort of projectile charge that these shields can do. Roll a level 5 speed task if you want to dodge it. You can try and do really any kind of defensive maneuver you might think of.
Where is it? Can I roll a might or something to do with might where I want to catch him?
Yeah.
But I don't know what to roll for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would still be a speed task if you're going to catch him.
Okay.
But if you want to do that, it would be a level 5 speed task.
Okay, I'm also going to apply a level of effort.
Cool. And if you have training or discipline in speed defense tasks or anything like that, this would lower it.
I don't believe I have.
Okay.
Let's have a look. I don't think I have. Okay, so do I roll now a difficulty of 4 rather than?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. Nice. So you have a major success here, which means that you not only does this kind of go however you want to go in terms of catching him, but you can apply a major effect. What do you think that would look like for Jarren?
Jarren has sort of stanced himself so that when this force comes towards him, he grabs him both by the shield and by the collar, and just make sure he gets really up close to his face. Is that I don't need to be fast, and just completely throws him over and smashes him into the ground the other side.
Awesome. So Jarren's normal attacks are deal 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say this does 4. With the 20, it's a major effect or plus 4 damage.
I don't know how this counts, but my combat prowess adds another 1 damage.
Oh, perfect.
To
okay.
Ability. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, 9 damage on him. Does that work?
So, yes, but let me offer this.
Mm-hmm.
You can do 9 damage to him, which would be the 5 plus the 4 for the success, or you can do 5 damage to him and knock him prone or stun him as a major effect, depending on whichever you choose.
Well, he doesn't want to kill this person.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anything, he's going to knock him prone and hold him down on the floor instead.
Okay, cool. So we'll say essentially you kind of like catch him, flip him, and then go into kind of a hold there. And
he's sort of got like his knee in his lower back and got his arm on the back of his neck.
And he just kind of snarls. I will kill you.
You might. One day. You might.
In terms of initiative, it's now actually your turn. So what would you like to do?
I think Jarren he's not crazed right now, but he's definitely got a wall of rage sort of across his face. And he's probably just going to do, he wants where this man holds up his shield arm. He's going to put some pressure on it. He doesn't want this man to be able to hold a shield. If it means breaking the arm, he will break the arm.
Cool. Go for this is heavily, like, this area is like very heavily armored, and intentionally built to flex with him.
Yeah.
So I'll say a level 5 might task.
Okay. Let's go. Where's my might? I'm going to use the fist attack because he's effectively just going straight down into. Dun, dun, dun.
Nice.
And
so
he kind of leans down. He's just sort of like, I knew a hunter before you. You're not a hunter. But I am a soldier. And at that, he'll probably just, it takes the palm of his hand and just, he's going to try and break this guy's shoulder if he can.
Yeah, you absolutely, with that success. And there's literally no way that Vorsh is going to, like, ease up. So it's pretty easy to just break his shoulder. And he screams out, he screams and you notice something kind of strange in the surroundings, almost as if so the way that I've described that kind of like backlight glow to all the walls and everything here, a wave of kind of like dimming light goes through it, and then it just goes back to normal. And Vorsh screams, and then his scream stops almost instantly. And you hear a voice that is not his. And he says, or it says, I am still waiting. Find me the Pilgrims. And you recognize Sovereign's voice come out of Vorsh, almost like a speaker of some kind.
Do I get the feel that if I speak, they'll hear back?
No. This almost sounds like even like Vorsh isn't doing this. You can tell that very clearly, and it almost seems to just burst out of him like a like an audio file just being like played out. And as soon as it's gone, he just sort of looks confused and stunned. But then the pain comes back to him, and you still have him essentially, in a hold if you want to keep him in a hold. But we can drop out of initiative.
He's keeping him in a hold. He doesn't want to kill this person. He's not trying to kill him. And again, he says, I'm going to get off you now. And I'm going to move your shield away. And he sort of steps up and kicks the shield out of reach.
You're able to remove this kind of whole like mechanism and just toss it out of the way. And Vorsh sort of like pushes himself up on one arm and then sits with his shoulder broken. And he's still holding his club, but it's a pretty light grip. He just glares at you.
And Jarren rubs his shoulder where this guy brought this club down on him, and he's like, a shoulder for a shoulder. hurts, doesn't it?
He drops the club. Sovereign is looking for you.
I'm sure.
It won't stop looking for you.
I don't intend to keep it waiting much longer. Now, are we done here?
He gets up, his arm sort of just hanging there. And he looks down at his shield. And then he looks at you and he says, take the shield. It's yours now.
I don't want a shield. Why would I want a shield that sneaks up on people and jabs them in the back?
He glares at you.
This, and he pats on the armor where his own shoulder is. This injury I didn't get from sneaking up on people.
And he...
I'm a soldier, yes, but I don't kill people for no reason.
Vorsh just kind of shakes his head and he leans down and he picks up his club and he leaves his shield on the floor and he just walks out the way he came.
Thank you. And he sort of calls after. I don't kill, but I've missed a fight. And he'll walk in the opposite direction. If that's another way out, I don't know which way.
It is. We shift from here to a large room where it's essentially a cylinder, and at the base of the cylinder around the edge is like a walkway, and then in the center of this is just a large open area that is just a beam of white fire rising up sort of through the ceiling in another hole. And standing there with Polymind Oot is Beatrice and Dell. And Polymind Oot is saying, This is the Fireheart. This is where the Taigoa come from.
Dell's just looking at this thing, like with a tilted head, curious. You would assume a curious expression. Odd question, but does it look like familiar at all?
You recognize the sort of color of the energy, the substance of it. It looks very similar to what is inside of the orbs of the Taigoa heads. You might even, essentially, like, it looks like the orbs of those heads have some of this fire inside of them, essentially.
Do we see any Taigoa in the area, like, being made? Question mark.
No, just a big... the walls have that same, like, melted jawbreaker color to them, as does the lip that you're standing on. It's enough space to be, like, comfortable, like you don't feel like you're, but there's no, like, guardrail or anything. There's just this beam of fire.
And how close is that? Like, if I were to want to,
so it is a short distance away, and the fire, it comes up to kind of the edge of this walkway. So you could, if you wanted to, yeah.
Okay, cool. Duly noted.
So Beatrice is writing all this down because she's been with having just recovered from the earlier moment with the kalimba. Um, she's writing she's notating all of this, and she keeps like pausing every now and then, like to try and raise her finger as though she's going to ask a question. And she thinks back on it again, raises it again, thinks back on it, and she's like, Adele.
Yes.
I know how I am, and I will ask probably many questions to Polyminute, but I wanted to ask before I got too carried away. Do you have anything that you want to ask Polyminute before I get into this? And you see her like she's still writing, and she's like, there's a little bit of a like tense energy. She's like trying to withhold. It's like a very eager kid trying to raise their hand and get called on as the teacher. It's that energy, but she's trying to be very polite and like let you ask first.
I think Dell sits for a bit and just stares at this fire before asking, this power is exclusive to you, is it? Here, there is nothing like it on other worlds.
Polyminder says, I do not know about other worlds, but this is unique to Moraviri, unique to Davia's Perch, yes.
I think Dell just looks down at the lower half of their body. Like, admittedly, half of my creation is a mystery to me. I was taken by raiders and altered. So this is curious.
Altered? Altered from what?
I think Dell takes, or at least lifts up, like, the cloak and stuff that they have over the arm that they have that is still from their old make. I was a soldier built to fight on the lines of Vastorn. On the line of battle, I fell. I defied my orders and fell. And I was taken in by the very people I was fighting. And they fixed me to an extent. And just gestures down to the legs.
In this vast storm, they do this often with their prisoners?
I was not a prisoner. I was built to fight. I was made for that purpose.
Do you remember much of who you were?
There's no were. I was built for the front lines. I was made. Between 8 and 9 years ago. There is no before.
You sound much more like Taigoa than I think you may be aware of.
Just kind of looks at the fire at that. And what does that mean for me?
I do not know. You are like Taigoa, but you are not Taigoa, which means you could be anything. Perhaps you will find out more in your time here. I would like that very much.
Perhaps. For now, I know I am a soldier that defied orders. And I'm here now because of it.
And as you say that, Polymind Oot reaches out a hand and just sort of like places it on your bicep. Essentially, he would go for the shoulder, but it's much higher. He says, sometimes our roads take us to different destinations than we expected. I suspect that not many like you could say that they have friends.
No, you're correct. I considered myself broken for a long time. Considered my sudden display for emotion a flaw. And he looks down at Beatrice, like, perhaps it is one I can work with.
Not much more any of us can do than work with the flaws that we have.
Kind of gives a nod.
I think you will be okay.
I am hoping so. This is not what I was created for. It is new territory. I was made exclusively to fight and destroy. So, this is strange, to say the least.
Scooch just kind of looks around and says, you haven't destroyed anything yet? I enjoy that. I'm glad you're not destroying things. He looks to Beatrice and he says, and what about you, Ghost? What would you like to know?
I would like to know many things, but I will, given the kindness you have already shown us, I will try and restrain myself to only a few dozen questions if possible.
He laughs and he says, oh, you would be a very interesting polymind. Yes, start with the important ones.
Do the Taigoa remember who they were?
He smiles. No.
What do they remember?
Taigoa are very smart. From what I've seen, they tend to, at least most, put together who they were very quickly. There's no sign that they necessarily remember their past lives, but through context clues, the way people react to them, they are able to put together what that means for them, I believe. Rustaban, for instance, and he points to Rustaban, who's just sitting there, watching you two. Rustaban was created from Vorsh's brother, and from what I can tell, he remembers that, because he uses that fact to torment Vorsh pretty much any time he can get.
Do the Taigoa, do they feel emotions the way that we do?
Yes and no. They are much more structured. They exist within freedom to a degree. I have never seen one without a master do anything but search for a master. But when they serve, they have a personality of their own that would suggest some kind of emotion. It is why we do everything that we can to respect them. They seem to be alive to a degree.
I have a few more questions, but because as has been made clear, we are not from here. Please stop me if any of them seem crass. Um, do bonds of love seem to register more with them, or is it merely just what they can recall bit by bit? Would they remember something like a wedding or a family member passing away or anything of the sort? Would music help?
We are going to a place that many young Moraviri go to. Those who suffer loss. You cannot bring back the dead with the Taigoa. They have no memory of who they are. What they show you, what they bring back. Smoke and mirrors. It is a show that they put together knowing that they can for lack of a better word, manipulate. But memory, no. They do not necessarily even behave as the people that they are created from. The young man who became Rustaban, severe, disciplined, loved his brother, would never do anything to hurt him. And now, I think it might be Rustaban's sole purpose to torment the man, if I'm being perfectly honest.
That wouldn't be beyond the means of what a brother would do, though.
True.
I still have many questions, but I have perhaps one that, if I will risk being the most crass as possible, I will ask now, if that is appropriate.
Okay, here we go.
For those of you who have seen the Taigoa for however long they have existed, and perhaps that is another question to ask as well, does having them around feel like penance or acceptance? I ask in part because were another Taigoa to be made of someone that was very close to someone who lived here amongst the Moraviri, would people see it as penance, as regret, or as someone grieving as what they needed time for?
You mean if someone of Moraviri created a Taigoa from the dead, how would they feel about it?
I suppose. Does it feel, and again, this is perhaps a longer conversation, but would those around them feel as though it was someone seeking penance for the mistakes they've made in their life, or would it seem like someone accepting bit by bit the way the Taigoa remember who they are bit by bit, what they have done, coming to terms with it?
I hear the real question that you are asking. But Moraviri create Taigoa of all of our dead. It is our way. We have always done it. So penance, regret, any of this, It all depends on the person. Taigoa are made from the dead so that they can continue to protect the home. That is why we show them respect as protectors and helpers. It sounds like you are someone debating whether or not to let go. Trying to find a way to undo or accept. And those are very difficult choices.
If the dead do not have to stay as such, then why let them leave?
What did you say?
Especially
Sorry.
if we love them. If the dead do not have to stay as such, if they don't have to leave, then why should they? If we have the means to bring them back, why should we let them leave? Especially if we love them.
A worthwhile question that I do not have answers to. And if you have listened, you know that Taigoa are not bringing back the dead. We are creating something new, not the same. And he is about to say something, and then he stops as a wave of light, or well, a wave of sort of dimming goes through all the walls. And you hear that same message that Borsch gave, in that same voice from Sovereign, demanding that the Midnight Pilgrims meet them. And he sort of stops what he's doing, and he speaks the words, and then he comes back to, and he looks terrified.
Yeah, I think at that moment, the moment that voice comes out, Dell has pulled Beatrice back and has a sword out, pointed at the polymine.
You see him kind of come back into normalcy, though he's very clearly shaken, and he gently just reaches out a hand and just lowers the point of your sword.
Yeah, once Dell realizes that they're fine, sheaths it very, very smoothly.
You are okay. I think this is not good. This is very bad, in fact. Come. We have spent much time here, but we have very many pressing matters to attend to now. And he sort of gathers you both together and starts ushering you out of the room.
Yeah. As they move off, Beatrice will feel just a weight leave her shoulder, as Dell has likely had a hand on her shoulder for that whole conversation.
And Beatrice will just sort of very quietly, and probably Dell, I don't know how much Dell could tell from the tears that have probably like pooled around the edges of her eyes, but she'll just sort of like look up at you and like just very quietly ask, "May I hold your hand, Dell?"
It was just a nod, and no. How about their humanoid hand for you? It's still half metal, but it's better than the other one.
You two exit this. What was that?
Oh no, the last thing Dell probably hears is "Thank you, Ayana," and then she stops, and then she just tucks her notebook away, and then she doesn't say anything the rest of the walk.
So as you two depart, we switch and see Zamira walking through one of these Moraviri marketplaces, looking for Sparx or Jarren, either one. And Zamira, as you enter into this marketplace, you see Jarren come out of another tunnel opposite you, and people are muscling about as they usually do here.
He's sort of wiping his nose and looking down at his hand, but you can see him just wiping like on his trousers. Probably see a little bit of dried blood across his face, but that's about it.
Seeing that, she'd make her way right over. What did you do to yourself?
I tripped. I'm very clumsy.
We both know that's a stretch of the truth.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Are you
I
all
think-
right?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm very good, actually. I feel renewed. But we should probably find the group. Which,
Probably, yes. I don't suppose you've seen Sparx wandering around.
I did briefly. As always, walking with a purpose. I'm sure he's fine.
Oh, of course. You know, Sparx and a purpose is never a bad combination.
Jarren just seems a lot more like happier at the moment. You could he's not normally smiling, but he's got like it's not a big smile. It's a small smile, but it's there. It's like, you're okay though. Everyone else okay?
Well, I'm fine, all things considered, and the other two went to go find out more about the way this world works. Sparx, as we've decided, is Sparx doing his own thing.
As always.
You seem to have had an experience, though.
I don't know. I just feel a little bit more energetic now.
Well, whatever happened, it certainly suits you.
Thank you. I think it does. And he sort of that small smile is there, and he should we find the others? And sort of offers an arm out, which he has never done before either.
Yes, probably best to go back to that room they had us in. And she'll take his arm. Naturally, she won't make any like acknowledgement that this is different, but she'll go with the flow of it.
And Sparx, well, if we don't see him, we'll hear him.
That's usually the way it works.
And as he sort of leads you away, it's like a come down. He's slowly going back to normal, quite quiet. You feel his arm loosen a little bit, not away from yours, but just down to his side a bit. And he starts to get that same sort of straight face, almost serious face again. When he did smile, he looked a tiny bit younger. But he's sort of gone back to his own again, and he sort of glances himself and realizes his hair's out of place and moves it over again and straightens up. You can see him wince as he rolls his shoulder, realizing he's offered you the wrong arm, effectively. But this place is strange.
That would be an understatement for sure. Are you putting your game face back on?
I heard the Sovereign.
What do you mean you heard this, Sovereign?
I say this is a strange place. The voice came out of another passerby.
Well, let's just add that to the list of disturbing.
They didn't sound happy.
I can't imagine they would be, all things considered.
Yes. And he's more sort of just looking around now, in a way looking for the rest of just everyone else. Are we still in like this tunnel, or?
So you'd be out in the kind of more open marketplace, but you know there are many of them sort of set up as like pods in between all of these different tunnels. And you begin to, as you sort of look for how to get back to that room, essentially, you see Callispa walking towards you, and she says, Jarren the Traveler.
Yes,
Hello?
that's me. Hello. Yes.
And she nods to Zamira. Zamira?
Hello?
The Sovereign seeks you, and in seeking you, has done something that it has never done before. It has pierced the veil of the Moraviri home.
I'm sorry.
It is not your fault, but it is very dangerous. I would like to gather you all again to speak with the Polyheart, who will be able to help you with this.
In our delay, did it in any way cause harm to any of you?
Not to Moraviri, not yet. But for the Sovereign to speak through Moraviri, very rare, and it takes a great deal of effort and determination from the Sovereign. For it to do this means that it is very serious about finding you.
So they can just jump into anyone's head and think and speak for themselves?
Yes. It is very difficult for it to do here in the home. But yes.
Is it?
Oop.
Sorry.
She'd look up to Jarren, like, concerned with this bit of news.
Yeah, he sort of glances at her briefly and is, can this sovereign do this to travelers?
That I do not know. And it may be very helpful in your coming days.
Then, and looks to Zamira, almost like waiting for a nod. We should not keep them waiting any longer.
Agreed. Definitely best to try and stay on whatever good side might be left.
And
Yes.
Callispa says, I think you will find that Sovereign has many sides, and none of them are good. But I would spare myself and the Polyheart telling this to each of you individually. So if you will come with me, we will gather your companions and we will do what we can to help you.
Of course. I don't suppose you have a way of sort of making an announcement among your people to get Sparx's attention?
She smiles. We already have people on it.
Good. Especially since you said people. That's good.
Even Jarren smiles very weakly. He puts his head down to try and show that to avoid showing he's smiling.
And Callispa leads you back through kind of this maze of Moraviri color back towards the room where you all started. Sparx.
Hello!
You have had this sort of brief flashback to your childhood, but you are still in that same Moraviri marketplace that you were in. The children now have kind of scurried off. Excuse me. And as you recoup, a couple Moraviri walk towards you and they say, Small traveler, the Polyheart
Yes.
would like to speak with you. Are you wearing a glide?
What if I am?
Curious how you got one so fast. Did you have it with you when you came in? Did you have it with you when you came in?
Yes, I did, as it happens.
Impressive.
Thank you. Now, could you point me to the nearest tall building, please? How do you measure buildings of height? Do you measure it in stories, or feet, or yards, or meters, or, I don't know, some other length?
Buildings in Davia's Perch, I believe, are measured by stories, like you said.
Stories?
There are many.
Great!
Yeah.
One at least 20 or 30 stories would be fantastic.
I do not know if there is one that has 20 or 30 of them. That is But I cannot take you to a building at the moment. The Polyheart and Polymind are looking for you and your companions. Sovereign is searching for you.
Alright, well, I'll go right there then.
Excellent. We will lead you. Come.
No, I need to stop off and grab some things.
What is it that you need?
That's private!
I'm sorry. If we knew what it was, we might be able to help you get them, or we could bring them to you while you speak with the Polyheart and Polymind.
Are you trying to say that I'm not self-sufficient and independent? That I need you to toady on me or drag me around or something? Is that what you're trying to say? Just because I'm smaller than the average person doesn't mean you can push me around, you know.
And from a nearby tunnel, you see Jarren, Zamira, and Callispa emerge into this marketplace.
Oh, shit.
And the two of you see two Moraviri talking with Sparx, just looking generally kind of flustered. And one of them is like, I don't think any of those things about you. I am just trying to help you so that you can get what you need and we can take you to the Polyheart so that you can...
And what makes you think you can take me anywhere?
Take was not the right word. Guide you, maybe.
I need guidance, do I?
Well, this is a new area. We understand that it might not be the easiest to navigate. Do you have any idea?
Oh, look, other Outlanders! I point at Jarren and Zamira and run.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Zamira would lean over to Jarren. At least we know it's not just us he does this with.
Oh, yes. No. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yes, but will they is the better question.
No, probably not.
No.
He sort of just watches after. Doesn't make any attempt to go and get him. Just almost like you hear underneath his breath, like, have fun.
So Sparx runs off, and the two Moraviri look at Callispa, and Callispa looks at the two of you, and like, I mean, do we want to collect them so that we can have them talk about?
You might need more than one or two people at this point, and I wouldn't let him go unattended if you want to make sure he gets to where you need us to be.
Do we need to restrain him?
Like
Convince
I said,
him.
You can't take him anywhere.
Find something sparkly. Maybe, make zapping sounds. That might entice him. Get him to come your way. The more unusual and fantastic and glowing.
Okay.
Even if it hums. Humming sounds are great.
Jarren is just nodding at every single thing Zamira says. Just, again, that blank look, but just matter-of-factly, yes.
Even if it's just a child's toy, but it looks flashy and shiny, it should do the trick.
Sparx, you are running through a tunnel now. And if you would like, I would like to offer you a GM intrusion.
Ooh. Ooh. Do I want that sweet XP? Yeah, I do. What's the intrusion?
So you have 1 XP and 1 to give to someone else.
I'll give the other XP to Del.
Cool. That's perfect, because you are running through this tunnel and you look back to see if the Moraviri have followed you, and then you turn and you slam face first into Del, who is walking with Beatrice and the Polymind towards this room.
Oh God. What level is Sparx's head to the gap that is Del's torso?
Your head pushes through the clothes into the beam there, and your whole head just goes boom, just completely numb as you fall back. You take no damage though.
Ooh!
Hello.
Sorry, Dal, you alright?
Just kind of. I am fine. Are you?
Yes, I'm fantastic. Look, there's 2 guardsmen chasing me. If you could do me a great big favour and tell them that I went that way, which is 100% what I'm going to do.
Oh no.
The Polymind looks at Beatrice and she goes, "No, there's no one after him."
Del, is this something that you would like to do?
There's a solid beat. They're like, do the others want Spark to leave?
Beatrice just sort of like flips through her notes just because she's been writing down this like details about every situation, just peering through it.
Hang on a minute, hang on a minute. There's something about this. Jarren said about what you want, Del. So do you want me to leave?
Del just looks at Sparks and is like, I like your company and would like you to stay.
Alright then for now, but I've got pressing engagements to get to, so we better make this quick.
Apologies.
Sparx, would you like to hear about an ancient flame that's sparkly and it shoots off lots of various colors and such?
Does it destroy things?
In a manner of speaking. And Beatrice is just looking over at the Polymind and just like trying to give like a slight elbow of like just play along with it. It keeps his attention.
It's very interesting. Yes, it's it takes organic matter, turns it into other matter, and creates all kinds of pagoa that you see around here. And he sort of just starts leading Sparx like back down the tunnel. He's like, I can tell you about it on the way to meet with the Polyheart.
Yes, I think you should. I want to know specific details. How does it change matter into other matter? Is it some sort of alchemy thing? Is it a chemical thing? Does it use some sort of energy transfer? How does this work?
And he tells you all about how it does that as he walks the and it's very detailed, and you're like, whoa, the science is so good. So as you all sort of begin to converge on this space, Sparx, actually, yes, all of you, you all get 1 XP, basically for the different bits of tidbits of information that you've discovered about how the Moraviri work and how Sovereign works and stuff. And you actually notice, Sparx, you'll notice this, as you are winding your way through the network that is the Moraviri home. The Polymind actually leads you to Polymind and Callispa. Eventually your groups merge and they lead you to the hangar where you found your glide. And you still see like the occasional, it's not even necessarily like, it's not like regimented in any way. There's not really any kind of like military or structure to this. There's just people who have glides take off from here. So you see like every now and then just a Moraviri run and jump, and they'll shout something and then the glide kind of becomes rigid and forms around their body and they just glide away.
How far is it down?
Very, 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 very far. This place is the perch itself, like the pillar that the whole city is on, is like a skyscraper's height up from the land itself. And standing, watching them all kind of fly or glide out, is Polyheart Entrid. She turns and she says, Travelers, it's good to see you again. I would have liked that you could have got more rest, but things have changed, unfortunately. Jarren, are you okay?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Again, just like checking because he's wondering if it's still there. Just
Dell stares at Jarren for a long while, like, would you like assistance?
no, thank you. But thank you.
Just a nod again.
Entred says, I am sure that if you did not hear, someone has told you. Sovereign desperately wants your presence. And while your lives are your own, I would not recommend that you meet with it as it intends.
What is that then?
You don't want us to meet with the Sovereign?
No. I want... And she kind of turns and she walks to the edge of the hangar. It's just an open, like, hole, essentially. And some of the wind kind of whips through her braids a bit. And she looks down. She says, I want you to be free. I want all of us to be free. And you know that in this, wide open space, high up in the air, all of this wind, she's a good distance from you. You shouldn't be able to hear her, but you can. And she's not speaking like into your mind. It's not telepathy, but there just seems to be some kind of amplification that makes sure that you are able to hear what you need to. Even the, what should be kind of the roar of the atmosphere outside, you don't really hear it. And she says, Sovereign is... Sovereign is part of every living thing. Sovereign exists within all things. Sparx?
I've not really got anything to say. I'm just generally disagreeing with you.
That is okay. I suspect that travelers from the night may not share this fate.
Belief system, yeah. No, we tend to get disproven, most of them, over time.
She smiles. I am not unfamiliar with faith or science. And I am telling you, little lightning rod, Sovereign exists within everything on this planet.
Wow! I'll come back to you when I've had some more experience, but for now, let's just presume that you're probably wrong.
She smiles. She says, we'll table it. We'll get back to it at a later date. It's fine. If Sovereign wants you, it is so that Sovereign can do what it wills with you. If it is willing to put in effort to achieve your presence, that means it is not going to stop until it has you. While I cannot tell you not to pursue it, if that is what you wish, I can tell you it is very, very, very dangerous.
Then what do you advise?
I advise that you leave back into the night. If you have a way to escape Sovereign, I would take it.
Jarren is not a leader. He's just kind of here as, I guess, the muscle, and he looks around at all of you, just, what do we want to do?
If we manage to get away, what is going to happen to you? And she's looking towards the polyheart.
That is something I am wondering as well. But as far as I know, across much of this world, the Moraviri are as close to free as anything is. In the home, we are shielded, veiled from Sovereign's influence. And for that, we have some of our own autonomy. It, as you saw today, can pierce that veil, but we do not raise a fuss, and so it does not pursue us. But now, helping you, preventing it from getting what it wants, something that I suspect it has never experienced before. Perhaps anger. But I speak for the heart of Moravir. And we will not force you to go into the jaws of death unless you choose to go yourself, in which case we can only offer you a shield.
Oh, they're making this really hard. At first, when the Sovereign wanted me to go and see the Sovereign, I 100% didn't want to see the Sovereign, but now that they're saying they don't want me to go and see the Sovereign and that it could mean certain death, I kind of want to go and see the Sovereign.
Of course you want to go see the Sovereign. It's exactly the opposite of what everyone else wants to do. Though I am tempted myself to go and see this Sovereign, all things considered.
Jarren just smirks at the comment of, you need a shield, and stays quiet, but looks at Sparx and Zamira as they sort of have this conversation. I will go where you go, but he sort of trails off a little bit. I don't know where to go.
Zamira will look at Sparx. I don't suppose one of those red cylinders in the spaceship would be any help. Seeing how you love to talk with her.
Oh, no, I can't stand her.
That makes two of us, then.
Very pushy.
Probably best to leave her out of it then and not even try to contact her. I can't see her being of any use to us anyways. Not like she'd have any talents or ability to help us with this Sovereign. She already said she was weak, so what's the point?
The Polymind looks at Zamira. And he looks at the Polyheart and he's like, do you think this is for me or for you? Which one of us should? And she says, she is very forthright. She's very emotional. She has been hurt. I understand. And it says, okay. I am not going to tell you how to feel about this strange woman who appeared in the Sinnoh, but if you seek to fight or confront Sovereign. We may have ways to help you do that. But run. Go to the night. No such thing has been done here. Perhaps this craft that you entered in from may be your only hope for that. And this strange woman, what part she plays in that, I do not know. But I know that even as we speak, the spear cross surrounds the wreckage of your craft. Seek it for their own.
Who are they?
The strange creatures, agents of the Sovereign. They are sovereign and are not. It's difficult to explain. Essentially, in my time studying how sovereign works, I believe that it can see through the eyes of the world, speak with the mouths of the world, or hear with its ears. But I think that it cannot do all at once. The way it gathers information is flawed. We know much of this in Moraviri as we are the only thing that it cannot lay absolute claim to. But the spear cross, Sovereign blooms from them whole. Hear, act, see, speak. They are small portals through which it can step.
So hang on a minute, and the Sovereign's nicking our ship?
From what I can tell, it is nicking their ship, yes.
And leaving maxi dress tied around him, Sparx will yeet himself off of the perch.
Brave than you aspirate.
We knew that was happening.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was like, when's he gonna run and jump?
Yeah.
Soon.
We will work to resolve that situation in a second. I need to take a little break so I can.
Okay.
I am sorry for how difficult Sparx has become.
I love that you're playing yourself.
Yeah.
It's just cute. You have no idea how.
I don't feel like this is like an escalation of where he is. This doesn't
is just
like going from here to here. This feels more like it's gone from here to like here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's
This is pretty average. It's pretty.
Like,
This is what I signed up for.
right down to the not paperclip safety pins scrap.
Yeah, I was.
That is a.
Yep.
That is a choice.
I was a complete punk when I was a teenager.
Oh
This
God.
is just you younger.
Oh God.
Yeah. Like, I remember I had a T-shirt which I ripped across the chest and then safety pinned back up together, and
Oh my God. What a punk icon.
yeah. And I had at the time I had a black mohawk and I dyed the side shaves blue, like electric blue. It was a look.
That's impressive. That's commitment. The only thing I have about that is just like a picture or two from high school of me like having gone like full cross-dressing when I was like figuring out a bunch of trans stuff. I was like, I'm not trans at all. Like this is just I just feel comfortable in all of these clothes that are not masculine associated. Oh wait.
Wait a second. Looking back on it, it's like,
Hint.
Oh.
I went through the full weeb phase. I had like the little like the knitted hat with like the fox ears on it, and I had like I think I had like a glove with like the Naruto side on it. A few other things.
Please tell me you did the Naruto run. Please tell me there's a picture of you doing that.
I'm sure there's one somewhere.
I lived on a beach, so I dressed like a beach child because I'd normally go straight to the beach afterwards. So I had no phase, I think.
No, you probably didn't have a phase, really.
Yeah.
Alice
I
didn't
have a
even have
full-on-
teenage years, though, to be fair.
I did not have teenagers.
You just migrated from
I
child
was
to
a
adult.
weird teenager. I was like, no, I don't want to argue with my parents. Let's be friends. Let's do everything fine.
Strong mood.
Weird.
When you have a functioning relationship with your parents, I don't understand you in any way possible.
So
So yeet.
Sparx
So Sparx has been yeeted.
is running to jump off of this hangar. Does anyone try to stop him from doing this?
More like maybe like pulling on the odd garment that's on him to see if it loosens itself.
To see if you can kind of like untie
Like,
the knot of it?
quickly whip it up open.
Go! Like opening a
I
page.
also feel like as much as Beatrice would have wanted to been paying attention to the whole conversation, she was also probably just because the glider's a new thing that she doesn't understand. So she probably would have been doing like a mixture of like looking at aspects of it while she's like half paying attention to the conversation, half like pulling
Right.
up aspects of it and like holding on to it to like
Sparx would have been very abrasive if people were touching his clothes.
Oh, God.
Jarren
Fair.
where.
know it's gonna happen and just watch it happen.
So I'll say if anyone's gonna do it, probably me, but not because I'm actually trying to like stop Sparx, but just more like, no wait, I still want to take notes on this.
Yeah, I think Dell just tilts their head and watches Sparks go. However, if Beatrice looks like they're going to follow, that's when they'll step in and just be like, no.
No, Zamira would be more like, okay, you know what? Fine, you're gonna do it, but let's give you at least a safety net.
Yeah.
Because she would have seen the gliders and kind of started putting two and two together.
This is dangerous.
So
Sparx will use it.
Mm-hmm.
Sparx's intention in his head is to leave the dress tied until he's plummeted 20 or 30 stories and then pull on the ribbon.
Zamira and Beatrice, roll me a level 4 speed task. Nice. So, as as Sparx goes running, Zamira, you are able to reach out and kind of tug on part of this garment, and it loosens it a bit, but doesn't get it all the way out. And you see Sparx just,
I think if he
then
gets
Polymine-
tugged,
Go
he
for it.
might even like spin on his feet like, hey, and go off backwards.
Zamira would just kind of like waggle her fingers with a smile.
Did you see everyone's faces peer over the edge? Like, there
I
you
was
go.
gonna say Jarren is literally like hands behind his back, just like
Mhm.
looking as you go.
So you all watch as this ball of color just, and Sparx, you are just tumbling through the air. As you fall, there are other gliders moving around, kind of just catching different wind currents. And you can see, not Sparx, but the rest of you, can see that they stick to the shadow of the perch. It's basically just like a large swath of shadow that ends in kind of like the disc shape at the top. And they all sort of like weave in and out, doing what they can to stay in this shadow. And outside in the sunlight, this sky is essentially a war zone. There is like small prey flying around and large prey picking it off. It is like a feeding frenzy around this perch. and they will fly in and then swoop up and like avoid the shadows and go back into the sunlight. But the prey darts in and out of it, and then the larger ones sweep in. And every now and then, you see what essentially looks like the thing that I wrote down that is right there. A reddish brown, essentially kind of like a quadrupedal bat-like creature with a long tail trailing behind it and large wings. So essentially it has the 2 sets of legs and then wings coming out of the shoulders as opposed to like bat arms, flying, and it comes in and it'll make a sweep and it'll grab something and pull it apart and then just start kind of like eating it in the air as it flies. And there are much fewer of these than the other creatures, and they seem to be kind of apex predators flying in and grabbing it. Excuse me. And the polyheart says, well, I hope he doesn't go into the sunlight. Sparx, go for it.
Zamir, it's one way to get him back to the ship at least.
Sparx, you are tumbling because you're sort of just going like straight down. You are essentially at the moment still in the shadows. What would you like to do?
Well, once the air starts regulating and I start getting control over my body, like you kind of do in free falling, I want to make my body as thin as possible to see if I can get how fast I can go in this plummet. And I am not looking at shadow and sunlight, but if I see a large bat thing, I might hit it like a dart.
So you are just plummeting straight down, and just getting this like buffeting. You actually go past objects in the air, and everyone watching you sees you just kind of narrowly avoid these large hovering platforms, and standing on them are other like Moraviri, and they're like, you can see them talking, and they just as you and you are getting closer and closer to the ground. None of these creatures have really come near your space. You have a like, you know, because the pillar of the perch is so large, this swath of shadow is pretty large as well. You get closer and closer.
When the ground starts getting a little bit big, I'll pull on the ribbon and see what happens.
You pull on the ribbon, and it's just cloth flapping.
I trust in the cloth and continue to plummet.
So as you just continue to, the polyheart looks at the rest of you and it's like, so, I mean, does he know about the command words for the glide?
Most likely
No.
not, knowing
Del
him.
looks to Jarren, expecting to have to go after him.
And Jarren is just watching, and you can hear under his breath going, "Open it, you idiot, open it, open it." Like, just sort of under his breath, not at him, but he's just waiting to see if he can actually
He looks
open it.
like a windsock right now, just material just fluttering behind him.
Because this is, I'm assuming, a drop even Del wouldn't survive, because this is just a massive
No,
drop.
this is so
Yeah.
high.
This is huge.
Yeah, this is just a drop.
Skydiving.
I imagine after a couple of minutes, Sparx would, well, not minutes, obviously, but after a few moments of it not opening, Sparx would think, well, this isn't working. I wonder if it's like one of them electrostatic cloths, like in Batman, and he'll try and shock it.
Oh god.
God, I swear to God, you're
Oh,
gonna burn
God.
this thing up.
You are.
And yes, the specifics of having electrical abilities is that the alteration changes nothing other than the type and the fact that it might start fires.
Oh, God.
No, but
Okay.
I feel what you're going
As-
for.
And
Go
if
for
this
it.
doesn't work, I'm going to start looking for other gliders around.
Take it back.
What's Jarren doing? I saw Tella's just looking expectantly for orders.
Jarren is just looking over. It's like, do you have another one of those kite things he's trying to open?
And there, you notice that several more Aviary have approached you while you've been watching, and they are all they're holding a glide for each of you.
Yeah, now. Like, it's Jarren's like, put it on me. Tell me how to
They
use
start
it.
putting it on Jarren. And if the rest of you make to like allow it, they will start putting these glides on you as well.
Do they have one that fits Dell?
They do, yes.
Yay! I'm not gonna die.
And Jarren will be frantically being like, tell me how to open it. Tell me how to open it before he makes a run and a jump.
The Polymind is looking at you and he says, all right, as you're getting closer to the ground, you need to shout the command word. It's the way the glide works, it will know what you mean. It will know what you're looking for.
The command word.
Yes, the command word. The first thing that comes to your mind, it will understand, okay?
Okay, and Jarren just doesn't, and it's like he just keeps running and just goes off the edge and tries to narrow himself into streamline a possible shape to get to Sparx. Almost like a dive off the edge.
So you run and you dive with this sort of like windsock poncho behind you, just Sparx, what are you doing?
I'll use the charge ability, and if my glider bursts into flame, then I will
set me on fire.
aim as it fireballs behind me. I will start looking for another glider behind me to hit at the speed of sound, roughly.
Nice, that's a very good ability. Roll me 1d6 plus 1.
Like a recovery roll, right? That'll do.
Kind of, yeah.
3.
3. So to do this, you would need to spend 3 intellect points.
Wait, I meant to do what?
To use your charge ability, essentially. The cost is 1 intellect point. 4 intellect points. Cost is 1 intellect point plus 1 per level of the device that you're charging. And that's the level of the glide.
Great! Yeah, I'll give you 4 intellect points. Why not?
Cool. So, Jarren, you are bulleting towards Sparx, who is a ways away from you, and more cognizant, actually, like with a view to where you're going. You see like more of the platforms that you are just like narrowly just.
Yeah, he's just focused. He's going faster, 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 faster. Like he's just shouting at himself, not anything in particular, but telling it to go faster.
If it does open, can I please have it that it does also catch fire?
I swear to God.
So you see Sparx far ahead of you, Jarren, and then all of a sudden you see this electric current and the glide, and essentially the way this thing works, it creates like a hard shell around your body, like you were in not a canoe, but like a more rigid type of glider, like not just a paraglider, all the way up to the head. So you're like in this little like bobsled essentially, and then it sends out its glide wings, and Sparx, you catch the air, and it starts to curve out a little bit, and then your wings just go and just catch fire as it like starts slowing. And as you're slowing, Jarren, you're starting to actually like gain speed on him, but he is now angling out towards you.
And immediately starts barrel rolling.
And then, if anyone, it's very inaudible, but there is just a very loud stream of profanity coming from Jarren as he is screaming towards, like now with his arms and legs out to just find a way to just cocoon himself around this guy. And if as soon as he reaches him, he's
Mhm.
gonna with one hand try and strike off these other like
Mhm.
let's say hot wings, these like fiery wings, and basically clamp his legs around Sparx, trying to rip off these other wings, and just scream, "Open!" like in a really like he is not a fan of heights at all.
So to sort of angle and catch this descent in a way that you are going to essentially like meet up with where Sparx is while he's barrel rolling. Roll me a level 6 speed task.
Oh god, guess you can't do speed. Right. Okay. I was so close. Do I have any rerolls?
You can
No.
spend 1 XP to reroll if you would like.
Oh, to reroll. I have a feeling I'm not gonna get it, even if I do. No. Let's. I want to see if we survive.
So, what are the rest of you doing? Have any of the rest of you jumped?
This Zamira would be like, there's nothing really left to lose, so she definitely zip over as well.
Yeah, Dell will follow. And I think that they just kind of stride up towards this edge, and they almost just kind of like just because their feet are basically like pinpoints. They're like like small blades, so they just pivot on the very edge of this thing and essentially just like fall backwards, and it's almost like a flourish. It's very graceful as they just fall backwards, and then they also start like also make themselves as narrow as possible to catch up with the rest of the group.
Beatrice.
She probably is last because she just double checks with the polyheart and the polymine. It's like, so wait, you say it this specific way, it'll understand you. She writes one last note. She like stuffs it in her bag. She's like, polyheart and polyhand, watch, the ghost is flying, and she just jumps off.
As you jump off, you hear ting 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 ting, and Roostabon runs and jumps, and then all of the metal that makes up this kind of large dog body just slurps around the orb, and now it's just a large metal ball, and it just homes towards you as you fall. And so the three of you are falling. You should more or less be okay. Jarren,
Yes.
you just miss Sparx go past him as he barrel rolls, and you are now under him, but you can still activate your glide if you want to.
Yeah, if there's any way I can wait till I'm right under him to activate so that when I go up, I crash into him to try and whether it's slow him down or just get him to hold on to where I am.
So you sorry, so you're activating your glide? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like he's screaming the word open,
Yeah,
but he wants to be whether he's just under Sparx or enough to sort of open the glide so it comes back up and crashes. But you know when there's that pause as you open a parachute as the air catches it, it's like he's trying to either crash into Sparx and hopefully in his head Sparx should hold on or something, but Jarren also knows that's not a good possibility.
Yeah, you are at this angle and you pass him, and as soon as you do, you shout open and it transforms, encasing you, and like you catch a bit of a thing and you come up, and Sparx, while you are burning and spinning in this kind of crazy fireball, you see Jarren coming up from under you, and you can essentially connect with him if
I would like to connect like a surfboard.
Okay. Perfect.
I would like to continue swearing.
just screaming.
Meanwhile, on top, Spark just.
So, this glide is literally like pulling off of you in the wind. Just parts of it are just ripping away. As you essentially connect with Jarren landing on top of his glide, and the two of you just like begin to slowly like catch another breeze and curve out and further towards the ground, slowing down now as the rest of your party starts to follow down behind you. Those of you who are just sort of slowly gliding from the beginning, you can see these floating platforms with a few of them have Moraviri standing on them, sort of just watching everything that's going on. And you notice that, like, as the sun is setting, you notice that these platforms rotate with the shade of the perch. And you can hear some of them cheering. Some of the Moraviri are like, "Oh!" Like, "Oh my God." Sparx and Jarren, you are now doubled up on this glider with bits of burning glide flying off of Sparx.
Saying I want to do it, Jeff, but if I wanted to do acrobatics on top of Jarren, like handstands and that sort of thing, what sort of difficulty level would they be?
So to do acrobatics, just stuff like that, would normally be like a 2 or a 3, but you're in the sky going insanely fast. So just give it we'll give it a 7.
A 7, impossible. Got it. Would that be a speed roll though?
It would be a speed roll, and if you have effort or any skills, you can lower it down from 7.
Sparx would like to do a handstand on top of Jarren. I have a reroll and I'm going to use it. Nope, I fall off of Jarren.
Jarren, you are like still just like flying inside of this thing essentially. And you can feel Sparx moving around, and then that weight is suddenly just gone.
Yeah, so like off the back or
off the back, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, question: could I throw in a player intrusion?
Ooh, it costs 1 XP. Yeah, what would you like to do?
Zamira, seeing Sparx falling off Jarren, will have her glider just about to open, seeing that she'll target to Sparx, grab him by the collar, and have her glider open.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so reduce that 1 XP, and you are able to grab him, arms around him, say your open word, and the glide essentially closes around both of you. And so there's just 2 heads sticking out of this thing.
Oh, hello, Zamira!
Sparx is fully engaged in this glide.
I swear to God, it is like watching my cousin, who is 3 years old.
This way isn't nearly as fun.
No, but it's safer.
We probably wouldn't die.
You use the word probably.
Well, everything's probable, really, if you think about it.
Yeah,
like,
you just
nothing's
raise the
certain.
chances.
You know, the uncertainty
Nothing's
theorem.
certain except for the fact you are just falling.
With style.
With style, with grace.
With probable death as well.
Yeah.
And at this point, Zamira is probably swearing up a storm as they're landing towards the ground.
Did you see my fiery barrel rolls, though? They were cool.
She's got that mom grin where it's just like, not listening, not listening, no, not listening, no.
Sparx hears from a little distance away. Technically, it's not a barrel roll, it's an aileron roll. She's enjoying this. But she's opened up the glider already, so she's just trying to coast as best she can, but just giving sass to Sparx as they're going through the air and correcting
Is
him.
everyone... Sorry, you go. Is everyone safe? Like, is Jarren's glider hasn't caught fire as well? Everyone's okay? Yeah, I think once everyone's in a glider and safe, that's when you'll see Dell pop their glider as well. Like,
so the 3 of you kind of come into this much slower, calmer descent, and you're able to see out quite a ways. You are coming in to land on a large stretch of the Mir Plains, just like where you came from originally, with these kind of mirror-like metallic surfaces spreading out in rolling hills away from you. And in the distance, you can make out what looks like a forest coming up over the horizon. And you see, you know, tufts of that sort of primary red grass coming out of it, and a few plains here and there. Far in the distance, you see what looks almost like this same mirror-like metallic surface that is literally coming up in almost mountainous spikes, far, far away. And you all are just in this kind of slow dance now as you ride the wind. And I would like to offer you all a GM intrusion if you would like one. This is a group GM intrusion, so any of you can pay 1 XP to refute it if you like. Otherwise, all of you will get 1 XP.
I'm game for the XP.
Fine by me.
We probably
I always,
won't
like,
die.
fail, so
We're all gonna die. I'm in.
Same.
I think I know what's gonna fucking happen.
So you all are coming into these glides. You're still pretty high up in the air, even after all of this drama. And essentially the clock that is that pillar of shadow that keeps turning is turning now, so that you're coming up on the edge of it. You're still relatively safe until a massive updraft of wind scatters all of you, and you all go rolling a bit, and you're able to more or less kind of keep yourselves upright, but you're much higher in the air now, and you are all out in the sunlight, and you see creatures zipping around you, darting, flying. Zamira and Sparx, you two see as one of those large quadrupedal bat creatures wheels around and then starts heading right towards you. What would you like to do?
If there was ever a time to make something go sparkity spark, now's the time.
Hang on a minute, let me just get an arm free.
just the
Wiggle over a little bit, will you?
I manipulate the glider enough so he can kind of like get the arms out.
Yeah, you're able to do that, no problem.
How would you feel about suddenly getting above it? Like, on the count of 3, pull up hard sort of thing, and then let go of me.
What do you mean let go of you? Let you out?
Yeah! Don't worry, I'll fall on the bat!
You want to ride the goddamn beast, don't you?
Look, I'm just a problem solver. I'm seeing a problem.
Problem solver, problem child, same difference. Don't die.
On the count of 3, then!
Sure, why not? 1,
2,
2, 3, and she'll...
So to time this out as it's coming at you and you're going to pull up, Zamira, roll me a level 3 speed test. Nice. So you pull up just at the right time and you launch Sparx like just a little deployed little demon. Sparx, roll me a level, it would have been a level 4, but because Zamira succeeded on that, roll me a level 3 speed test to sort of just calculate where you're hitting this thing.
Yes. Let's see. Level 3 speed test. I mean, I'll beat that without any effort, right?
Probably. Nice. You have a minor effect. Is there anything specific you'd like to do with it? you're set to land on this thing's back, essentially.
I would like to land right near its head so I can use shock therapy to control it.
I will say that you land right near its head, and on your next turn you can try to get a hold of it, which may be right now. Let me find the stats for this thing. Cool. Would all of you roll me a level 4 speed task to determine initiative as we enter into this?
It doesn't give me the option to put difficulty in
Really?
for initiative. It asked me about
Oh.
effort, but not.
I did not roll initiative. Hang on. I rolled one thing. And now I've added something. Whoops, hang on.
Hang on, I did the wrong one.
I did.
Totally did the wrong one.
Practice day.
There we go.
Okay, so 15, 10, 12, 17. And then, Scrap, did you get one in?
Yes, I was first 16.
16, okay.
Fat roll
So,
16.
16, 17, 12, 10, 15, and then, so everyone except for Dell is able to go before this thing. So in which case, Sparx, you're able to land on this thing, and you send a pulse through it. Let's do a level 4 intellect roll. And if you have anything in terms of controlling things or anything like that, you can ease it with that or spend effort.
Would this come under lies and trickery?
No.
Then no.
Lightning doesn't lie, it's just lightning.
What difficulty was it, sorry?
4.
Yeah, sure. Let's do this. Yeah, level 4.
It sort of moves to protest as soon as you land, and then its shock goes through it, and it kind of like seems a little more docile and is just kind of like flying like usual. You notice.
Ears.
Yeah, you have hold of like its bat ears.
I'm like steering
tugging
by
on 'em.
yanking.
And it's turning. All of you who are more or less above this, catching these different drafts, just see Sparx just kind of like gaining control of this crazy looking bat creature. And you notice, you hear kind of like a scream of one of these beasts, as there are 2 more sort of entering into the area, watching all of this circling above you. Zamira, Jarren, or Beatrice, you are all free to take an action.
I think Jarren would wait and see what the others do first.
Mhm.
Anyway, so
Yeah, you can push your turn back behind the NPC initiative if you want.
Is it clear already that they're hostile towards us? I realize this might be a very obvious question, but
Yes,
do they
these things are apex predators that you are in its hunting ground.
Okay. In that case, is it within range for me to try and use Onslaught Mind Slice on it? Like try and hit it and just
The one that
disorient it?
Sparx is on, or one of the 2 others?
One of the 2 others.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to try and use my Onslaught, putting the edge from intellect into that, so I believe it
Mhm.
doesn't cost me
Cool.
anything.
So it'll be a level 4 task to hit it.
I would like to spend effort.
Okay.
So that would mean 3 points.
From
Down.
intellect.
Wait,
And
that
I'll lower
would
it
mean
down.
that's 3 for the effort because I'm putting the edge already into using my 1 skill, correct? And then it's 3 points for putting in effort to reduce the task to 3, and then I just roll for the mind slice.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
So you get a
that works.
So you can choose to either take a major effect or do an additional 4 damage.
I am trying to remember what my major effects for that are, because that is not one that I plan to actually have a major effect for. Oh dear.
No worries. If you can think of something relevant, we can work on it together.
So I'm imagining sort of it as like Beatrice just sort of draws a line across the crystals to just sort of pool a little bit of like the little shadowy energy, but it's pinkish. She just sort of flicks it at it. Would it be possible to, because it's the mind ray version of it, the major effect to like disorient it and make it think there's something else that's not there?
Yeah.
Like that's like closer to it, that's like coming towards it, so that it thinks that's the thing that's attacking it and not me. So I'm probably pretty obvious, or is it better just one of those effects?
You can essentially take it off of your trail.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you fling this bolt of mental energy at it, and you see it rear up as if it's been hit. How much damage does it do just by itself?
Just by itself, should have been. It does 2 damage if it's a mind slice.
Cool.
Mind slice, I believe it should be listed.
Yeah, damage 2. So it rears back and it sort of like tumbles around in the air a bit and then catches itself and seems sort of distracted. And you see it sort of veer off in another direction. Zamira, Jarren, or Dell, you all are free to... oh, wait, no. Jarren, you went back in the initiative, right?
Yeah, I went back in the initiative just because he doesn't know what to do effectively.
Yeah.
He genuinely doesn't. He doesn't normally do this.
In that case, Zamira, if you'd like to go or delay your turn, you're welcome to.
How far away is the shadow area?
It is a long distance, so you can roll a level 4 speed test to get there in 1 turn if you want, or you can take 2 turns to move a short distance twice, essentially.
Okay, because I have the fleet of foot speed. Would that be something that we could factor into it?
Maybe. What does it do? What's the description for it?
It basically is... where did it go? I thought I had it in there. Bear with me. It is move a short distance as part of another action, or move a long distance as entire action.
Okay, yeah, then you can just move move a long distance as 1 action, no problem.
Okay, I just have to use a level of effort, which I do have.
Cool.
All right, so that she would target it where she's heading towards the shadows, seeing these other creatures and knowing she doesn't really have any means of fighting them. She'd try to get back towards the shadow.
Cool. You can move a long distance. If you apply a level of effort, so you can move a long distance and make it. Oh, so you don't need to apply. You only need to apply a level of effort if you want to move a long distance and then attack.
Oh, okay.
So if you're just moving a long distance.
Yeah.
It just it says 1 plus speed, so I think it just costs you 1 speed point. But if you have an edge in speed, it costs you nothing.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So Zamira is able to kind of like catch a draft and just zip back out of the sunlight. And then we come into their turn, and one has sort of flown off, completely distracted and disoriented. You see it sort of like it's flying, like kind of like wobbly and just sort of heading in the other direction. The other has zeroed in on Sparx on top of this other one, and it flies in and sort of like hovers over it, and watching this sort of like bat creature like being pulled around by like this smaller entity on it, it is going to raise its head a bit and then point it down at you, and you see this and this bolt of like energy shoots down at you, Sparx. And it is a level 4 mind task, intellect task.
Oh, balls. That hits me.
Ooh. You take 6 intellect damage.
I've been reduced to 0 intellect.
So that will bring you down to impaired on your damage track. As this sort of bolt of psychic energy just rocks your mind. And this creature is sort of just keeping up with the creature that you're on. At that point, we switch to Jarren and Dell. What would either of you like to do?
Unless Dell wants to go first.
No, that's right.
I'm
Go ahead.
assuming Jarren would have seen this thing attack Spark.
Yes.
Jarren doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have special powers. He doesn't have special abilities. So he's going to turn himself and he's going to try and collide with this creature just to at least knock it off of Spark's path. He's just going to try and smash into it as hard as he can. If he does, can I use things like Flesh of Stone and combat and trained in armor and all that?
Yeah. So this would be a level 4 task, but you are attacking it from above while it's kind of attacking Sparx. So it'll actually knock it down to a level 2. Are you ramming into this thing while still in the glider, or are you like deactivating it and trying to like
He wants as much speed as possible.
Okay.
He's going to close it and he's just going to effectively try and turn himself into a rock to just try another force, just to try and knock it off of. He's not really thinking straight, but he does it anyway. So was this a speed task?
Yeah, just level 2 speed task.
Okay. Oh god, if I fail this. Oh my god.
Nice.
Literally 2.
So you hit this thing for 5 damage, I believe. Your normal melee is 4 + 1, right?
4. I have combat prowess, which is +1. Yeah, I'm not using anything else for this. This is just,
You hit this thing hard, and it sort of like veers off its path a bit. Roll me a level 4 speed task to hold on to it as it is sort of shaken about.
Oh dear.
Um,
He's kind of literally just trying to knock it away from Sparx. Not necessarily grab onto it, just hit it.
So you definitely succeed in hitting it and knocking it off of Sparx's path, but as you do, you sort of like your hands, you feel sort of like the reddish fur of it, and then it just slips away and you're just free falling. You still have the glide on you, but that would be your actions for the turn. Dell, what are you doing?
Alrighty. So how many of them are there? There's like Sparx is on one. There's one on Sparx, and is that?
And that's it.
Okay.
Beatrice disoriented the other one, and it sort of wandered off.
Cool. I'd like to also attack the one that is on Sparx at the moment.
Okay.
I'll use fleet of foot if I have to get there.
Yeah. No, you were kind of with Jarren where Jarren was, and Jarren was able to get there, so you can.
Yes. So I'd like to also get rid of the glider, and I come in with the saber, the light weapon.
Okay. Cool.
In one hand, and I'd like to come in for a swing, preferably on the wing.
Excellent. So it'll be a level. We'll do level 2. You are also kind of on that same path that Jarren was on above it, and it's very clearly distracted.
Alrighty, so it's the level 2, and is it if you use a light weapon, it eases it up? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, so it would be level 1.
Okay, cool. That's just a difficulty of 1. Hell yeah!
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Hell yeah! Also, so it's 2 damage. I have a combat prowess as well, so it's another 1, so 3 base damage. Can I land on this thing and just run my sword down along the membrane of its wing and just tear this wing out?
So you deal just the standard 3 to it.
Yeah.
Um,
But I wanna really hinder the swing.
yeah, you are able to land and just chop its wing off. And you are kind of on it as it begins to now involuntarily barrel roll through the air.
Hell yeah.
Roll me a level 5 might task to hold on to it if you want to.
Okay. So it's just holding on. I couldn't argue that it was speed and balance.
I think you would have to do some balance to keep
Okay.
hold of something that's spinning like that.
Alrighty. So I can roll with balance.
Sure.
And what was the difficulty again?
5. So it'll knock it down to 4.
No, doesn't like that's so good.
So you, as this thing spins, it's blood making a spiral in the air as it sort of shoots out of this severed limb. You eventually are not able to hold on, and you just, and you and Jarren both are sort of just free falling through the air, which would bring us to Sparx's turn. Sparx, you got a bat dragon. What are you doing?
Well, I'm out of intellect, so pretty much all of my abilities are negated, because I did not min-max this character. So what Sparx would like to do is tug on the ears and try and make the bat fly into another bat.
Into the other one that everybody's fighting?
Yep.
Cool. We've already established that you essentially have control over it, so it'll just be a level... This thing is flying pretty wildly out of control. I'll bump it up by 1. A level 5 speed task to hit it. You swoop past it as it sort of goes by you. But you are now you now have eyes on Jarren and Dell, both just tumbling through the sky, and it is now everybody else's turn pretty much. Zamira and Beatrice. Zamira, you have glided back into the safety of the shadow and are coming up on another platform that you're able to land on. And behind you, you can see sort of all of this happening in the sky. If there's anything that you would like to do, you are welcome to.
There really isn't too much she can do outside of trying to get to the ground first. So if anyone needs healing on contact type of thing, that's pretty much her goal at this point.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to, so you jump off of this platform again now that you're able to reorient yourself. And you are kind of on trajectory for about where they're going to land.
Okay.
Beatrice, what are you doing?
Very quick question to Jarren. Was it apparent throughout all of this that Jarren was terrified of heights and all of that? Were we able to tell Jarren was this is going to be a really bad time?
Probably not, because he doesn't freak out until he's done. He's very much an act in the moment. He may cry when he lands.
Okay. She can see Zamira's over there. She's probably worried about both of you, but if she doesn't know that about Jarren, she's gonna head to Dell to try and see. Is it possible for her to just try and move and catch Dell with the glider?
Yeah. Dell, as you're falling, are you doing anything to sort of fan yourself out? Keep in mind, they both still have their glides on.
Dell's doing some sick flips, y'all.
Out of character, I know they'll both be fine, but if I didn't character Beatrice would be
Yeah.
no, Dell.
Because I feel like
Grim
Dell
Reaper's also
falling
no,
is
not
surprisingly
again, not again,
graceful.
That's Beatrice's mind is just no, not again, not again, not again. Stop this one.
Oh.
So, yeah, Beatrice, you're more or less able to swoop under him so that he's able to land on the back of your glide.
Got you. I've got you.
Much appreciated. He's got the sword out next to the side, still trailing some blood. Like the badass.
Um,
I imagine that's my action, my turn, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But now it's the bat thing's turn, and it falls, and then it hits the ground and it dies.
It's what it deserves.
It tries to right itself with one wing, and it's not able to, and then it. And all of you are able to sort of glide down to where this onto a part of the mirror surface. Sparx, what are you doing as we step out of initiative? Because you have control of a full beast that can actually fly. Which is the worst sentence I've ever said. I've doomed us all.
I'm taking a moment to just absorb that. Which
You
way?
gave him like the coolest toy ever.
Which way is the ship?
3 toys.
So the ship would be kind of back towards Davia's perch a bit, and essentially it's still in the swath of shadow, essentially because it's so close to the base. Even kind of as it turns, it's still in there for a little bit longer.
Great, I'm gonna wheel the bat around and start flying towards the ship.
So, Beatrice and Dell, you land and are able to sort of step out of the glide as Dell just hops onto the ground, and Zamira, you come in. Jarren, when last we left you, you were free falling, but you're in your glide.
He would be screaming, open, the entire way on the way down.
Yeah, it extends and you're able to sort of glide in, maybe like a little jittery.
I feel he wouldn't land gracefully. He's not fast or graceful anyway. It'd be like that last minute opening and then like, not hurt, but like, you know, when you get drags along the floor, and he'd probably just lay there for a bit.
I imagine like, because these things like encase your whole body, I imagine it starts to like come apart as you're nearing it, and then he just kind of like just slides like face first.
There is a trail.
And the four of you hear overhead that telltale kind of screech of one of those bat things, and you look up and Sparx is just riding it away back towards Davia's perch. Looking at it, actually, you can see that you couldn't see it before because it's more or less kind of like straight down from where you were in the hangar, but at the base of Davia's perch is a monolith, like the ones you've seen before. And shooting out of the face of this monolith in like a cone is more wreckage of the Nightcraft, as it essentially hit the monolith at the top of the perch and then shot out of this area and like scatter shot and dug like trenches and scorched some of the ground. And all around it, you see the more people in the more Viri colors. The make of their clothes is a little different than the hunters. Hunters have more of that like hood up, bare arms with like armlets kind of a deal. These clothes are much more slouchy, no hood. Some of them have goggles on, but it all has that more Viri coloring. As you... What? Oh, hold on, sorry. As you look out, you can just kind of hear people like calling out different things as they... you see more fire eaters, people like putting out flames. For the most part, it's pretty much taken care of by this point. And people are just kind of picking things apart and organizing it into different piles and things. And there are a few people on guard, essentially, like posted on the outskirts, just keeping an eye out. And Sparx, as you approach, there's one Moraviri, goggles down, just kind of like waving, "Hey! Hey!" Yeah.
Hello! Where are the sovereign ones?
What?
The sovereign stealing our ship!
Oh, the spear cross. Yes, we've seen a few of them.
Which way?
Mostly they come out of the perch. And she points towards like the pillar of the building, and you can see that there are like large holes in it that sort of slide down, and it essentially has like a gradient to it. And sure enough, you can see like light reflected on eyes inside of some of these holes, but it doesn't look like anything has come out recently. But there are a few dead spear cross, like speared onto the ground around them.
If he's not up already, Del will, after gracefully stepping off of Beatrice's glider, go to Jarren and just offer a hand up. Just offer a hand. It's like, are you all right?
As you do, he sort of lifts himself up, almost in shock. He looks at you, he looks around, and he starts to laugh a little bit, like on adrenaline. He laughs, and then he looks up, and you just sort of see him go, and put his head back down on the floor.
I think Del just kind of crouches next to Jarren and has that trademark hand on his shoulder, like his uninjured one.
Yeah, the distance.
I will wait with you.
The distance that you have all fell is overwhelming. Like, looking up, it is an absurd wave.
Jarren is very much just gripping the ground and kissing it. Like, thank you.
Looks to Jarren and is just like, would you like to hold my hand? It seems to ease Beatrice. Perhaps it would work for you.
Maybe in a minute. I'm just not going to move from here. Just give me a second.
Del waits patiently.
As you start to kind of regain composure, you realize that this metallic, this mirror-like surface that you're standing on, you're essentially just been like kissing your own reflection, like on the ground while you lay there.
I think he's thanking himself as well, so this is okay.
And all of you realize that now that you are safe and alive and on the ground, you are still in the sunlight, and you can see like very high up some of the creatures start to circle a bit.
I pick Jarren up. I scoop him up like bridal style, and I take him into the shade.
Yeah, you're all
just like not looking up.
You're all able to easily sort of run in the direction of where the shade is and where the Nightcraft wreckage is. And you see this one Moravire shouting up at Sparx as Sparx kind of has control of this beast. Sparx, as you enter into the shade with this creature, it just screams and it starts to fight you again,
right.
trying to wheel itself out of the sunlight.
Take it back out into the sunlight. That's all right. And I give it a little scratch behind the ear.
And it sort of like shakes its neck and then just keeps flying just on whatever path you have it on.
Well, I'll either land it or get it to idle. Can I get it to do one of those things?
You are able to land it essentially, and it is on the ground and it sits there.
I will stay on its back and I will try and rest for 10 minutes while I wait for the party to catch up.
Yeah, you can roll a recovery roll. So while Sparx is resting, you all are in the shade, and the person who is speaking to Sparx kind of greets you and is like, "Oh, hey, you're travelers, right? We've heard a lot about you."
Yes, that would be...
No, I'm not there, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be us.
That was something. I've not seen gliding like that in a long time.
I will absolutely take your word for it.
Is everyone okay?
Dell is still carrying Jarren.
Darren's looking up at Dell a bit confused. He's like, you can put me down now. Thank you.
Just a nod. Gently puts Jarren down. The hand like lingers on the shoulder for a bit before just making sure that Jarren's okay and not panicking anymore.
Jarren feels incredibly awkward. One, that he's been carried, and two, that people have probably seen him freak out. Yes, we're travelers. Yeah.
We have been taking a look at the ship. Pretty cool. And this Moraviri that you're speaking to, she is younger, probably like early 20s-ish. And she has the standard kind of Moraviri clothing, but it's very baggy. It has, you notice watching everyone else, all of the different scavengers, like the way that the lines are cut, the patterning hides pockets. Like you can't really like see where pockets begin and end. And they're able to store different things in it. And she has a spear that she sort of just holds kind of idly. Her hair is all kinds of different vibrant colors, and it kind of shoots out in different spikes with just like a shaved sides and back. And she still has her goggles on. Sparx, as you're watching all of this and sort of kind of catching your breath, it dawns on you that this is the same Moraviri scavenger who gave you the glide and then took off. She's just been down here essentially at work. She says, "I'm Dio. Do you have names where you come from? I don't really know."
And Jarren sort of smooths his hair down again because it's been standing on end from after all the wind. He's still quite sore. He's like, Jarren. Yeah.
Hello, Jarren.
A hand to shake out of instinct.
She takes it and she gives it kind of a two-hand shake. And you must be Beatrice, I think they said? The ghost, right?
How could you tell?
She smiles. I'm quick. And this one, she looks to Del. You are the one who is not Taigoa, as they tell us. I believe it was D30. It was, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm not great with numbers.
D377, but Del is fine.
Del. It sounds like Dio. It's perfect. I like it. And that would make you Zamira. And she nods her head to you. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
I see our reputation is starting to precede us then.
Things travel fast in the home, thanks to Polymind Oot.
Zamir would like visibly relax a little bit hearing that name, as opposed to being more suspicious as she was initially.
She says, not from Moravira, you probably wouldn't know. Oot, he keeps us connected. We're all able to speak with each other when we need to. It's very helpful. And who's that out there, the little one?
Trouble.
I can tell. It's not. You might not want to stay in the sun too long.
No, actually, tell him to stay in the sun and then he'll come in. He works opposite day mode.
Oh, one of those. Okay.
Yes.
The sun is boring. No one hangs out in the sun.
That's not quite it.
No.
Tell him that the shade, he's better off not being in the shade, that it's very dull. There's nothing to be found here.
Oh no, right. That's yes. The shade. I hate it here. This is awful. Right?
Beatrice will call up to because Sparx is still up in the air, correct? He's still
No, he's landed.
Oh, he has actually landed. If he's a bit of ways, she'll just call out Sparx. We found something that shoots out more fire.
That works too. Flashy and sparkly is another good thing.
You have to lead with explosives.
Hang on,
Yes.
I'm keeping an eye out for the thieves, the ones trying to steal our ship.
Oh yes, that is right. We saw Spearcross earlier. They came out in a small contingent. Had to fight them off for it, but we've been able to gather a lot of things. If you want to take a look at it, it is yours by right.
Samira would shout towards Sparx then. They took care of it for you. It's all here for the most part. Though you might be the better judge of it.
Sparx puts away his fire grenade. Trots over.
God damn it!
But rides the bat over. Right.
Yeah, it has, ground motion. It just kind of trots over. And it sits right at the edge of the shadow and just stands there. Beatrice, while you're in the air, and your GM totally forgot to describe it, that giant metal orb that is Roostabon essentially like adhered itself to you. And when you landed, it rolled off and then just kind of expanded into Roostabon's regular form. And it's just been by your side.
How are you, Roostabon? Are you doing all right after all that?
It looks up at you, and that same face comes out and says, "Wild ride."
It's been a while since we've had some excitement for this level.
Please take your seats.
It looks at Sparx, and then the face just fades away back into the fog.
Already like
They'll
you,
just,
Roostabon.
And
they'll just takes their sword out and cleans it off all this blood. Like,
oh yeah, all the bad blood. Dio's watching you like, this is an impressive piece of equipment. I like this a lot. I saw you cut the wing right off of that, whatever the hell I called them, Raskar. Incredible. I've never seen that.
thank you. I need to take care of my weapons so they can continue to do things
Do you
of that
need some help
caliber.
with this, Del?
What'd you say?
Oh no, I was just Beatrice is just moving over to Dell because I just realized I can do this. Do you need some help taking care of the weapons and cleaning it off?
If you are able to assist, and I hand out this long saber.
She sort of, for a second, it almost looks like she's like breaking off a section of the crystal, but it's more like it like moves from solid to sort of a liquid that just goes across the blade very gently, and just she uses hedge magic to just clean off a section of the blade. But it looks like almost for a second the crystals sort of adhere, become solid, and then they all just snap off, and then it's cleaned. It can't clean very much of it, but it cleans a good section of the saber, and then she hands it back to you, like very proud of herself. She's like, I haven't gotten to use this in ages.
Just kind of takes the sword and inspects it. So, thank you. And just without even looking at what they're doing, just very smoothly puts the sword back.
And watching the party, we kind of pan around each of them. The large Raskar, on top of which Sparx sits in the sun, as it sort of, the shade starts to pull away a little bit, but all of you just kind of move with it as need be. And Dio is talking enthusiastically about various things that the scavengers have found, describing it in terms that don't necessarily make sense because she doesn't actually know what they are. So she's kind of just giving shapes and colors and materials, and some things she saw spark, and she's very enthusiastic about it. And we see Del place his sword on his back, and in the reflection we see the monolith hovering, and past it we see the rising pillar of Davia's Perch, sort of pocked by large tunnels. And entering into one of these tunnels, we follow it up through this white material, all this same sort of glowing white, so that even shadows are rare, even in this deep tunnel. And we see them, hundreds, maybe thousands. Snakes, or manta rays, worms, writhing, coming in a wave, traveling down these tunnels towards the base of Davia's Perch. And that is where we'll leave it for today.
You have given Sparx so many weapons.
Oh boy.
We have a pet now.
We'll see how long he keeps it.
Oh, I'm not
Our
I'm just
party
gonna
is
eat
just
him.
slowly acquiring a pet for each person.
Right?
Yeah,
Maybe Sparx's pet's hungry.
maybe. Well, we can only hope.
Yeah. Has a like for worm like snake like manta ray like things.
It'll kill anything, really.
Yeah,
It's
so there,
horrible.
hey.
Oh god.
Fade out on, that little circle as Sparx is scritching its ear.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Well, everyone, that is the end of the show. Thank you so much. So much chaos. I loved this. I'm not sure if that's what you had planned, Jeff. I apologize.
It works for me, no.
Take a moment, everyone. Please look at our closing messages. We've got all of the links there. You guys can follow there. Please do go and check them out. You really can support the stream by just even giving traffic to those websites. So please do check them out. Also, big thank you to Mage Hand Press and Bird and the Storm Publishing, who make this all possible. We are still running our GoFundMe. We only need to raise another £100 to fill the whole thing, despite what it says on the thing. We had an anonymous donator who didn't want to do it through the GoFundMe. Yeah, thank you all so much for your support. We will be back in 2 hours with Twilight Sands, run by Alice. So tune in for that as she gets spooky in Call of Cthulhu in Egypt. Until then, keep on evoking emotions, and we will see you next week. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye.